For today, like Nigel said, I lead a fantastic group over at Getty Images. I came there about a year ago, and I'm super happy to be a part of such an innovative and driving, purpose-built team. And I'm working for truly a great company that is changing the world. For about 20 years, Getty Images has been changing the world through imagery. Images are key to how all of us communicate. You probably noticed that when you communicate, a lot of times that phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words, is oftentimes true. Now for us, imagery, we believe, drives change. It evokes emotion. At Getty, we seek to provide fantastic quality imagery that is changing the world through revolutionary ways. We believe that imagery communicates ideas, concepts, true reality. And we believe that imagery is a vehicle for change. We serve 1.5 million customers in almost 200 countries, providing them with the best collection of editorial and conceptual video. Earlier this year, we launched what we call our embed function, which is a function that enables kind of the consumer market to now get apart and jump into the whole imagery piece and drive and enable them to utilize, for non-commercial purposes, but utilize 40 million of our primary images free of charge. Now, earlier this year, I had the privilege of speaking at a conference around the value that Puppet is bringing to Getty. And it was just a couple-minute blurb, just a quick thing. And one guy kind of popped up and said, of course, that's what someone from Getty would wear. I was just wearing like a classic black shirt. It wasn't anything special. So I'm hoping that this kind of fits a little bit better rather than that. But it was an experience like that that was interesting, that made me recognize that I kind of am not in the hip crowd, certainly from a Puppet perspective. I kind of have become that talking head or that classic Dilbert pointy-haired guy, and I've never been that. I've always been the one. I've always felt like I was the one pushing the envelope. I was all the one driving change within either the company I worked at or the people that I worked with. But I'm realizing more and more that this space is being formed, it's being carved, it's being enabled by people such as you, who are really the practitioners that are doing this for practitioners. I'm not that anymore. I have become, in a way, the dreaded exec. And I think it's almost maybe comical or Freudian almost that there is hardcore puppeteers don't like exec. It's not extensible, it's hard to operationally support, right? But there are good execs. And the reality is I see what we're trying to do within Getty, and I see what we're trying to do as a larger ecosystem here, and I'm trying to support that as best I can from an executive perspective and continue to enable all of you to drive this transformational change. So while today my talk will be focused on that cultural shift to encourage adoption of Puppet, I ask that we not forget about the fact that we need to help our teams and our organizations ditch that stodgy feel, right? That black shirt that I was wearing that signified, of course, that's someone from Getty would wear, and instead embrace the fact that we here, and as we go back out to our respective organizations, are getting shit done. And while swearing is actually a great way to emphasize a point, it was something that I just couldn't have emblazoned across my shirt. So we're going with this instead. Hopefully this works a little better. It was actually kind of funny. So my son actually helped me. He helped me make this shirt. I couldn't find a shirt that actually had GSD, and so he helped me make it. He's like, "Dad, what's GSD?" I was like, "Oh, it's a Puppet thing. You wouldn't understand." And he's like, "Well," and then of course he's like, "What's Puppet?" And so we launched, and now I've got a 13-year-old who knows all about Puppets. Fantastic. But anyway, so the truth though is, again, right, we're here to get stuff done, and that's what we're doing. That's what I told him: get stuff done. All right. So to get started, I've got a couple build-up questions, and it's going to be a really simple thing. I've got little prizes, little gifts, Portland coffee from Stumptown Coffee. Just a reminder, quick marketing push, PuppetConf next year in Portland. So what I'm going to do is I just have a couple quick questions that we're going to build up with, and for the people who raise their hand, it's probably just going to be yes and no. The people who raise their hand, I'm going to toss out coffee. So I've got 6 bags. I'll be honest, I'm looking for jazz hands. So from the standpoint of, and we're not like Joe Namathing from the back, so it's probably going to be people in the front. Nice work, guys. All right. So first of all, who's heard of Cloud? Are you serious? Fucking no. Oh, sorry. No one? Here we go. Right there. All right. So you guys are alive. You've heard of Cloud. Fantastic. Let's keep building. Who believes that automation can decrease delivery time, decrease cost? Boom, right there, right? Okay, alive, but now with some technical cognizance. There's no way I'm going to hit you in the back. It's not possible, right? Okay, who here is training up? No. Who here hates Puppet? Oh, take him out. Who's training your PMO, your dev teams outside of infrastructure and operations groups on Puppet? Right there. Okay, you have to recognize that, again, a lot of people, I hope a lot of you guys raise your hands to that, but a lot of people in this room are doing that, but it's not common. You guys are this is becoming more and more rare. Who here can define immutable infrastructure, immutable architecture? Oh, this is bad. This is gonna be tough. You ready for this? Here we go. Boom. Oh! He totally had it, and he totally got blocked. Richard Sherman there with the tip. Okay, who is replacing infrastructure or hardware with solutions that natively support Puppet? Natively. You were ready. You knew that was coming. Okay, so the key here, though, now we're starting to dwindle down a little bit, right? We're starting to see that this is getting smaller and smaller, but the reality is it's still happening. Okay, who's integrating with Puppet into their CI/CD process? I'm not talking just for code push, but actually into their CI/CD process. Nice. In the back. You ready? Yeah, here we go. All right. Oh, thank you. We got an assist. So, why did I ask those questions? They may seem simple and obvious. They may seem like, oh, of course we're training people on Puppet. Of course it's integrated into our CI/CD process. But the fact of the matter is, that is not typical. You are not typical. From the standpoint within the classic IT organizations, even in the IT organizations, a lot of those questions would be foreign to people within your groups or within other companies that are within your space. So what my intention here, and to make the connection, my intention here was to show that you guys are the ones that are driving that transformational change. You guys are the ones leading that innovation. You are the practitioners that are building for practitioners. But you also must encourage and enable adoption. It can't just be you. You need to be able to lay down breadcrumbs to help people understand that this is how we got from here to where we are today and where we're going. And here's the future state. And here are the breadcrumbs you can follow to get there. It's a journey. It's a journey that all of us are on. And I hate the term. How many here hate the term cloud journey? You guys should all raise your hand. Some marketing person has made a ton of money off that horribly overused phrase. But it paints a good picture. It shows that, hey, we're on a path. And all of our paths are unique. That future state, that North Star is unique for all of us. The fact you're here at PuppetConf proves that you are empowered to drive that change. Now, you may have paid for your own way to get here, which means you're empowering yourself, but you're still here. Other people who have been in your classic ops, classic heritage infrastructure and ops guys, they may not be on that path with you. They may not have been here. And unless you actually live and breathe in this space, it's super hard to learn from other people's mistakes, especially for a company that's existed for more than 10 years. Now, I'm sure there are many people here, and my team was definitely told me, there are many people here who are in that space, who are pushing the envelope, whose entire organization is around innovation. And that is awesome, first of all, and those are the people that are helping to really push what that can look like at an organization level. But many, many companies are happy with the status quo. They're proud of the super complex technical empire they've built, and they don't want to change that. I was talking last night to some guys from a company that I previously worked at, and they were talking about how awesome HPUX is, right? They were not talking about it, but they were talking about how people within their team think HPUX is awesome. And I'm not here to bash on HP. It doesn't matter if it's awesome or not. The truth of the matter is, though, is that things like HPUX, when you're super excited about deploying HPUX, when you're super excited about deploying a COBOL solution, like let's really go back, when you're super excited about using your punch cards that you punched out last night for this program, you're probably not driving change. And it's probably difficult for you to conceptually understand where all the people in this room are trying to take their IT organizations, or their entire organization. So, again, I'm going to stroke your ego. I totally candidly am doing it. You are not typical. You're out on the edge. You're pushing the envelope. You know that CI/CD initiatives, you know that the DevOps movement, you know that the focus on automation and config management, You know that these things are driving change within your organization, change that isn't just focused on technology. But you have to partner with the rest of your organization to turn that ship. You have to bring them along, because you are the keys to animating the puppet. So, at Getty, I arrived at Getty about a year ago, and what drew me there was truthfully the fantastic organization, what Getty's trying to do for the world, and what they're trying to, the change they're trying to impact in the world. Within the technology organization, though, I inherited a team, or took over a team, that was focused on, in some of the pieces of the team, let's say that, were focused on doing technology for technology's sake. We were building awesome servers, and then a completely separate group was building awesome data centers, and then a completely separate group was building awesome networks. But we kind of lost the memory that, hey, we're doing all of this for a business purpose, to enable something. So for us, we recognize, again, we shouldn't be doing technology for technology's sake. We should instead be exploiting new ideas. We should be exploiting new markets, or enabling our company to exploit new markets. We should be helping them find new ideas or fail. They should, if there's a non-starter idea, we should fail it as quickly as possible. And we, from a technology perspective, were key to enabling that. Now, it wasn't just around speed and speed of delivery for new delivery. It was also around operational support. You guys all know this. You live and breathe this. Consistency, repeatability, inventory capability, being able to fight less fires and be able to focus more on developing or deploying great solutions. You know that drives up the ops side. So availability was also key for us. And then finally, cost reductions. Cost reductions, my opinion, this is, again, just my opinion, but from an opinion perspective, I wouldn't focus on cost reductions as in cost savings. A lot of times that typically means either the removal of people, the removal of other stuff. We didn't focus on cost reductions per se. We focused on cost avoidance from a perspective of we would be able to enable new benefits or enable new capabilities, mostly tied to the things we talked about there earlier, the speed and availability pieces. Now, a fourth one that I'm going to add in here, it's not so much exactly the why, but I bring it up because it's critical to the conversation. There is a perception factor. That perception factor is being set all around, and typically by external sources. Whoops, sorry, I won't say typically like that. Typically by external sources. So your technology executives, and then truthfully, your executives outside of your technology team, the people within your organization that are driving the organization forward and setting the path for that organization, they have a perception being set around what technology should be able to deliver. From a standpoint of Amazon, you guys have probably all seen it. Amazon talks about how you can deploy an environment in 15 minutes. Deploy an environment in 15 minutes. Done. You have an entire environment. An executive that hears that and then goes to the office and hears, yeah, we totally can build that out. It's going to take about 3 months. It's like, my team must suck. No, they don't suck. We have a lot of legacy heritage stuff that we're working in, and that promise of deploying an environment is in the greenfield is not truly relevant to what we have to deal with maybe back in our corporate offices. But that perception is still set, and they don't understand the disconnect. So it's crucial for you to, in addition to selling and driving the value through speed, availability, and cost reductions, it's crucial to also manage that perception. Don't fight it. You risk looking incompetent if you try to fight that perception. Instead, manage it, jump on board, take a hold of that inertia, and continue to drive and enable your company or enable your technology groups to enable currentness or enable real business value through the technology that you individually support and as a collective group deliver. So again, Getty did this. The reason we drove was the classic speed, availability, and cost reductions. Now, how did we do it? From a Getty perspective, again, I'm going to focus on 3 ideas, and these are going to be really familiar because it's where most things start. So we focus on the organization, the people, and the process. I want to stop and step back and really quickly again remind you, this is what we did. It may be unique for you, it may be different. There's no right answer, but my hope is, and my intent is here to share ideas around what we did, and maybe it will help inspire new thoughts for you, or maybe it will crystallize some ideas you already have. So, organization. Everybody knows this. This is basically a structure in which we work. The people, for me, I recognize from our perspective, our primary asset for how we're successful. And then from a process perspective, that's how we work, our day-to-day lives. Now I'll start with organization. It shouldn't typically start with the organization. It should start with the people. And in truth, that is how it started at Getty. But from an organizational perspective, I want to start here because if you have the wrong organizational structure, being able to be successful with something like a puppetized environment and pushing that out broader than just maybe infrastructure solutions is really, really hard. So you must have an organizational structure that enables the delivery that we're talking about, the speed and agility that we're talking about. For us, unfortunately, we were, like I talked about earlier, we were siloed. We had a network team, we had a storage team, we had a data center team. And so when someone came in and wanted something from a business perspective, no one from the business, from our product or our marketing or sales teams, no one from those teams comes in and says, hey, you know what I really, really want? I really want a VIP. I super, super want 3U of rack space. Or, you know, I want this firewall rule. I'm super excited about this firewall rule. They don't care about that. They care about whatever the business objective they're trying to accomplish. So we reorganized the business because we recognized the business needed a structure that supported what they were trying to accomplish. So we organized at a high level. We organized around the systems and services and processes that we deliver ultimately to our Getty customers. We have a team that's focused on those externally facing applications. We have a team that's focused on internally facing applications. We have a team that's focused on the core IT services that our internal resources need to be able to be successful. Now, these teams, it sounds easy to say, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. But the reality is it's super hard to have a team that has network, storage, data center experience, et cetera, within one organizational team that's focused on these pieces, because oftentimes those team members are like, wait, I was a hardcore network engineer, right? I'm Cisco certified up the yin-yang, and now you're gonna put me in this app services team? What does that mean? Was the change, was our reorg successful? Yes, ultimately it is becoming successful, but it was really, really hard, and it's taking a ton of time. It's not anywhere near done, and change management is a crucial piece of this. And I recognized that from a change management perspective, you have to have leaders that get the vision. So if you work for a team or if you are a manager in this space, you need to be able to understand what the goal is, what you're trying to accomplish, and have an organization from a leadership perspective that's focused on delivering, not focused on a piece of technology. Now, one little tangent here. Gene touched on it yesterday, and I want to reiterate it. DevOps for us. You may ask, did we create a DevOps group? We didn't create a DevOps group. I would think that most of you would agree DevOps is not a thing. It's not an org structure. I have many friends who have, within their companies, actually built DevOps teams, and that's fine. The thing that I would encourage or caution, I guess is probably a better statement, is make sure that if you create a DevOps team, you don't actually break the thing you're trying to create. Creating a DevOps team can create those, again, those silos that we don't want. So, organization. We also changed our people a little bit. So from a people perspective, again, like I talked about, the people were the key to this change at Getty. It's true in the model typically that's for practitioners by practitioners, and it was true at Getty. People were the drivers of this. Way before I came to Getty, way before there was Puppet even in the enterprise, way before that we even had a heavy investment in other types of automation or config management solutions, we had people that were driving and thinking about that change. And a lot of those people are here with us. Justin, Kevin, Mickey, Preston, and who else is here? And Brian. Where's Brian? We have a dead soldier. Dead soldier. Soldier down. But from the standpoint of that change, a lot of the guys are here that helped drive that change. They were the guys, or people, right, probably like you, that sounded crazy when they're like, you know what we totally need to do? We totally need to invest in Puppet. And then someone else is sitting there going like, well, our CA monitoring solution is good enough, right? And the reality is, though, it's difficult to drive that change, but the people are ones who drive it, and it was true at Getty. The thing about them, though, is they recognize that you have to find a sponsor. You have to find somebody from an executive perspective who can remove some of the barriers around funding, the barriers around resource allocation, et cetera. They also, though, recognize you must sell sideways. You're selling to your peers. You're selling down. You're selling around within the organization to get buy-in from not just an executive perspective, but also from a team perspective. They acted as a sensei. One of our guys talks about that some of the other team members are his sensei for how to move through this in this journey. They acted as a sensei, but they had to make sure that from a sensei perspective, that they didn't create a clique. They didn't create some special cool group where the team was over here and then the rest of the organization was over there. They are constantly fighting to maintain a culture of inclusion. Because it's really easy, even within a small technology org, and certainly within a large technology organization, to have the cool kids that are driving all this really cool new hot stuff, and have everybody else who's sitting here every day logging into a Solaris terminal to do whatever they want to do. So that inclusion was crucial. A Like the reorg, this change has been hard. It's super hard for the people in our organization that are passionate about making change for the business, and they're doing it through Puppet. It's super hard for them to pull other people by their eye teeth and help them understand, no, this is a good thing for our business. But they're driving that change. Like the reorg, change is hard. You have to have clearly set expectations around the team, and you have to be realistic with how long that's going to take for people's mindsets to shift. But you also, like I said, you also have to have a structure or some type of thing around that enables them to know where to go or where they're going. At Getty, we recognized that this was a core need. So what we did is we created almost like a you must be this high to ride this ride type model, where we have a definition or a RACI or whatever word you want to use that says within our organization, we know we need puppeteers at certain levels. We need to have within our organization, we need to have people that we call the Puppet consumers. They're the people that can log in, they can register servers, they can do stuff. Super low barrier to entry. They're probably not creating anything though. We then created a next layer that is the Puppet contributor. These are the majority of our technical team members who are able to log in, able to do something, probably like be able to take something that exists or has been created and tweak it or alter it to be able to suit the purpose or what they need to do. They need to know though what's going on behind the scenes, but they may not be able to create the brand new. The creating of brand new is then the next level up. And this is where we start to whittle down the people, but these are our Puppet professionals or Puppet admins. These are the guys that actually are creating new for the business. And then finally, we've got the kind of that underlying final layer of what we call our Puppet architects. These are the Puppet guys who are setting the vision, they're setting the roadmap, and they're helping to define how, again, like I talked about those breadcrumbs that we lay down, they're helping to define what those breadcrumbs are to help other team members get there. Now, we took these roles, these 4 roles, we took these roles and said, okay, within our organization, we're going to need to have a couple of these, a couple of these, and a couple of these to enable us to deliver on the business objectives that we have. And then we wrapped goals, we wrapped processes around them, we wrapped training around them to help the team members get there. This is very much in flight. It's not like this is something that is completely magical and it's all totally good, but it's definitely something we recognize that we need to have and we're driving within our organization. Again, though, the key is around people, enabling people to be able to understand the why and then be able to deliver on the business objectives via the vehicle for change, in this case, Puppet. Finally, there's the process. So we talked about the organization, we talked about the people, now we'll talk about the process. From a process perspective, we are animating via our existing processes and systems. We are trying to get this into our current space, into the real world, so that it's seen not as a science experiment, but as a real boy, right? A real solution that is driving change and enabling us. We don't want to be seen as the guys in the corner that have this cool thing called Puppet that's actually not helping the business. We want it pervasive across our organization. Within technology at Getty, everybody knows about Puppet. It's not like Puppet is a surprise or some weird thing. They're like, oh, I've never heard of it. Everybody knows about Puppet. We then looked at, from a process or a tooling or a day-to-day perspective, we looked at how people did work. And then we integrated Puppet into those spaces so that it became a part of their daily lives. From a chat ops perspective, we have a HuBot with HipChat. Ours is named Conky. He's actually very, very friendly, if you ask politely. But Conky is basically integrated from a Puppet perspective into, into that chat ops side so that we can enable things like deployment notifications or sheer deployments even via our HipChat, which everybody is used to using. We integrated Puppet into ServiceNow so that when from a Puppet perspective, if we have some type of deploy that occurs, it's integrated again into existing processes. It's integrated into our change management process. We integrated Puppet also into our CMDB, and this is very much a work in flight, where we're trying to get better data, less human data that is prone to errors, and more dynamic data from a trusted source, such as Puppet. Now, we integrated these into our standard processes. We didn't just focus on the greenfield. We are enabling Puppet in the brownfield. From a brownfield perspective, we've got a ton of crap. It's actually a perfect analogy. We've got so much stuff in the brownfield that we couldn't just say, we're only going to deal with Puppet in the greenfield, right? We must enable Puppet in the brownfield. In the real world, we're limited by outage windows, by risk tolerance, by budget, other things that limit what you can do in the real world. And we recognize if we don't push Puppet into that space, then it will never actually mature into something real for the rest of the organization. We have a QA environment for one of our platforms, iStock. And that QA environment is kind of in a metamorphosis right now. The QA environment is under a radical shift, both underlying technology, but then also some of the code on top of it. We didn't wait for that metamorphosis to happen over the next couple years. We said, no, we are going to puppetize now in the brownfield. We delivered that QA environment with a full puppetized architecture, full puppetized model, because we knew that we had to show the rest of the organization that we can, and B, that we are delivering on real-world problems today. Only supporting the greenfield, again, like I said, will continue to promote this idea that it is just a science experiment in the back closet. Do we puppetize everything? Well, we want to, of course, but are we puppetizing everything right now? No, and we didn't in the past. We started small, we learned lessons, we got learning on our belts, we moved on to bigger tasks, and we continue tackling bigger and bigger problems and driving puppetization into our day-to-day processes. So in closing, I talked a bit about what we did. I talked about how we did it within our people, I talked about how we did it within our organization structure, and I talked about how we did it with the processes. But I want to remind you that everyone's path is different. The fact that you're here, again, like I said earlier, proves that you're empowered. You are part of a community, part of a shared environment that gets it, right? You guys are the change agents that are pushing change heavily within the organization. You guys are making IT a strategic asset. You're making IT actually matter back to your organizations again. I challenge you again to bring the rest of the team on board. Bring them along with you. Lay down those breadcrumbs again that help them understand the path. Incent the right behavior within your team by having the right organizational structure. Continue to help and train your people that maybe not be like Puppet admins such as yourself or Puppet experts, but train them on how they can get value from Puppet in their day-to-day lives. And again, change those processes to make Puppet a part of your day-to-day life, not just a one-off on the side. Again, animate the Puppet. Thank you, guys.